Good morning. Welcome to the Premium Public Video Forecast discussion for Friday, July 21st, 2023. We have a lot to talk about, ranging from the tropics to the weather pattern through the rest of the summer, and also our showers and thunderstorms that have moved through this morning. It started off as an impressive MCS that has weakened. I'm going to show you why it weakened as it moved through, as it was expected, as we updated last night, and also what to expect for the rest of the weekend. So let's start off with the tropics. Well, we still have Tropical Storm Don up here that we'll visit in just a moment, but we also have this disturbance out here that we're keeping a very careful eye on. It's an area low pressure interacting with a tropical wave, and there's still a lot of dry air to the north of it, and that's going to be a factor as far as this development. But there is plenty of warm water out here, so there is potential here for some development. Again, with all this dry dust here from the Sahara Desert just to the north of this disturbance, it's going to have some limiting factors, and mild guidance typically struggles with that. So we'll keep an eye on it, see how it evolves. No reason to jump the gun or make any type of flashy little signs or images about potential storms or anything of that nature. It's pretty quiet out there right now. So again, it's something that we'll keep an eye on, but nothing that is of immediate concern. Talking about Don, it's still lingering around here in the northern Atlantic. It has winds of 50 miles per hour. It is lifting to the north-northwest. It's going to start to turn to the north and eventually turn into the northern Atlantic, which is basically the forecast. That has been in place for several days. Through the weekend, it's going to continue to lift north and gradually weaken as it does so because it's going to interact with more vertical wind shear. But we'll keep an eye on it to see if it has any chance of intensifying any further this afternoon. After that, the vertical wind shear in the colder waters will allow this storm to weaken and eventually degenerate into a post-tropical or extratropical low pressure system with no threat for our neck of the woods. Now, as I discussed with our little disturbance down here in the central Atlantic, we'll be keeping an eye on it. The European guidance does show some signs of development, but let me give you a little bit of a warning here. Before you start to trust model guidance in terms of intensity, first of all, going beyond 48 hours can be really, really tricky, okay? Because tropical lows are warm core lows, right? And a lot of mesoscale, small scale factors influence tropical lows as they develop. Low areas of dry air, warmer water in one spot, cooler water in the other, a little bit of vertical wind shear at 850 millibars that maybe we didn't catch very well in the model guidance when we collected our data. All these things can lead to a weaker storm or a stronger storm. So it's best not to jump ahead until A, we actually get a low pressure system to develop, and B, we understand fully the environment around that low pressure system and what the potential is. So again, there's a lot to watch out here. We'll keep an eye on it. No threat to the United States at this time, but I'm sure there's going to be some talk about this little feature here. I'm already seeing it on social media. Just relax. No reason to jump the gun just yet. But then again, we are moving towards the heart of the hurricane season, so you would expect something to start to develop as a result of that. So really not too much of a surprise there. Meanwhile, as far as our pattern overall, as you know, the primary influence is El Nino. And our El Nino, it looks pretty robust for right now. The temperatures I always keep an eye on are around 3.4, Nino 3.4, which is right about here. And the reason why that area is very important is because it's usually the most sustained area of warming, okay? Now you have different orientations. You have east base, central, and you have west base. Now, this does not look like a west base El Nino based on the sea surface temperatures. But with the way that we're seeing the evolution of convection, well, there's some argument to that, because you're seeing a lot more convection around the date line than you are over the Eastern Pacific. In fact, this year, the tropical development in the Eastern Pacific has been rather quiet for an El Nino developing because, you know, typically with the El Nino, you have a lot of warm waters and you have favorable conditions in the Eastern Pacific, and you see a lot of tropical systems develop and they start to lift up towards the desert Southwest or the United States, and you see flash flooding and all that other stuff. But not this year, not so far. So a very interesting little observation there that we're watching out for. With more convection focused around the date line, that opens up the potential for more of an enhancement around the Aleutian Islands of a trough in the polar jet stream and an amplified subtropical jet stream, an active pattern overall. So you combine that with what's going on in the stratosphere. This is called the QBO. You might have heard me mention this a couple of times, especially when we do our live chats on Wednesdays. The QBO is the stratospheric winds from 30 millibars to 50 millibars around the equator. And what we found based on research so far, and research continues to be done on this, that when we go into a negative state, an easterly wind, which is this right here, we tend to support more high latitude blocking. So it's not really a surprise when we see, as we are moving towards that state, that we're seeing this summer more and more high latitude blocking. Sometimes before you start blaming other things, it's important to understand the dynamics in the atmosphere and what's happening. And this is a very clear and well-studied evolution. So it's not really surprising that we're seeing a lot of upper level lows and whatnot in the pattern. It's kind of par for course for this type of environment. Now, the QBO adjusts from the top to the bottom. So it starts off in the top of the stratosphere around 1 millibar. You can see these positive anomalies will probably show up in about 9 months. And then here is basically our state that's going to show up for the rest of the summer, fall, and winter, as this works its way down towards the upper portions of the troposphere. So you're seeing this evolution take place. We were in a positive state. That's this right here. That's starting to give way, and we're moving into a negative state here. And so as that propagates down towards the mid portions of the stratosphere, you gain more and more support for high latitude blocking. So that's why we're seeing what we're seeing, and that's showing up pretty nicely here. Again, we get a little bit of a relaxation. It's more like a brief stretch, and then we go right back into our amplified pattern once again. So our relaxation lasts maybe 2-3 days, and then we see our trough right back in building, and you see that supported pretty well in the subtropical jet stream. In the ensemble guidance as well, with a nice trough off the west coast, a ridge over the Rockies and the plains continuing to bake those areas, and a trough remaining over the eastern United States. In other words, this pattern isn't ending anytime soon and likely to continue all the way through August. Why? Because of the model guidance? No, because of the forcing we just looked at. That's what's driving the pattern. That's not changing all that much. So what we're experiencing isn't going to be changing all that much. So that takes us to today. And let me see if I pull up the right data. Here we are. So for today, our showers and thunderstorms are moving through. You can see for the observations, you have mid to upper 60s over the northern interior, that rain-cooled air that set up this morning. You also see over the suburbs, upper 60s to lower 70s, lower to mid 70s in your urban areas, with rainfall moving off the coast and some low clouds along with it. You can see the winds are coming in from the west over portions of Pennsylvania and from the southwest and southeast, as you can see along the coast here. So what's evolving here? Well, this setup is pretty interesting. There's a lot of convoluted weather patterns here and air masses, okay? So first, this is a semi-tropical air mass surging northward. It has run into a roadblock called the maritime air mass. That maritime air mass is basically killing the showers and thunderstorms that were marching through Pennsylvania with a lot of wind damage over western and central Pennsylvania. Once it got closer to our neck of the woods, it started to weaken. Why was it weakening? Well, because the support was starting to wane. So what's happening here is that a lot of this is driven by what we call jet dynamics. And let me see if I can pull that up right here. Okay, so this is at 250 millibars, right? You see this shortwave right here? Well, that was a little bit further south, more towards Lake Huron and down towards Lake Erie last evening. And so this area, or what we call divergence and diffluence, enhanced those thunderstorms, really allowed for rising air. While that was happening, this jet streak was down here. So you had a combination of speed shear and vertical wind shear occurring, with winds coming in from the southwest at 850 millibars and coming from the due west at 250 and 500 millibars. And the difference between the speed shear and the changing in the direction led to a lot of mixing in the atmosphere, a lot of ascent, a lot of rising air. Now, once we got to this morning, that line, which was marching its way across with this warm front as a backing, ran out ahead of all of those dynamics, so that by this morning, your best divergence and diffluence is now up over the St. Lawrence River Valley, away from the northern Mid-Atlantic, and your 850 millibar jet streak is up here towards portions of northern New York and northwestern New England, away from the main showers and thunderstorms. So all your lifting has gone away. That's why when the thunderstorms approached, and it was forecasted that it weakened because it would lose the support and also run into a more stable air mass. So where does that leave us after this all blows through? Well, we still have plenty of moisture in the atmosphere. I expect a little bit of decrease because what we're seeing here at 850 millibars behind this strong shortwave is a lot of sinking air. So air is sinking behind this. So we should see a reduction in cloud cover and a limitation of thunderstorm development behind this shortwave initially. But we also see the potential here for Cape to rebuild. See, right now it's pretty quiet, right? You got a lot of subsidence here. You have your lifted index pretty limited. Your vertical wind shear is pretty much separated here and getting pushed off the coast. So you're saying to yourself, Stephen, this doesn't look like very supportive. But take a look at the visible satellite picture. You see that right there, that has my attention. You see this ahead of our cold front is going to allow for a destabilization of the atmosphere again. Now, it's not going to be as concentrated because the lifting isn't as organized, as you can see when we take a look at our model guidance here for this afternoon. But I do think we have the potential here for a few thunderstorms to fire up here. So not a complete washout once again for this afternoon, but watch out for some of those showers and thunderstorms. Then I have some great news, because this weekend is going to be quiet. Why? The upper level low associated with this whole setup is going to be lifting up towards Quebec, and we're going to be on the southwest side of that upper level low. So we're going to get a lot of what we call subsidence and sinking air. So it's going to be pretty quiet. That does give way by the time we get to next week with another trough and another round of showers and thunderstorms and all that good stuff. Once again, rinse and repeat. But at least for the weekend, it looks like it's going to be pretty quiet, and our precipitable water values fall off. And more importantly, our relative humidity at 700 millibars really falls off. So we have a lot of clearing skies. Now, there was some concern about some smoke for this weekend, but it looks like that is not going to be too much of an issue. There's going to be a little bit of haze in the air, but it won't be anything that would be significantly harmful or anything that would reduce our air quality significantly. So I expect good to maybe some moderate locations, especially around cities. You know how that is. But overall, not too bad. So it looks like this weekend is setting up pretty good. Now, again, for the HRR guidance, there is some pop-up scattered thunderstorms to keep an eye on through the afternoon and evening. But again, because of all the other limiting factors, it's going to be disorganized, widely scattered, and most of them are going to be below severe levels. But we'll keep an eye on it, see what evolves here. And then we set up for the rest of our forecast. So for today, again, watch out for a few scattered showers and thunderstorms after the rainfall clears out. Other than that, scattered cloud cover is expected with high temperatures ranging from the mid to upper 70s over the northern interior, upper 70s to lower 80s along the coast, and lower to mid 80s in the Delaware River Valley. For tonight into tomorrow, skies clear out and temperatures fall into the upper 50s to lower 60s over the northern interior, lower to mid 60s along the coast. A very pleasant evening is on the way. And for tomorrow afternoon, scattered cloud cover is expected with high temperatures ranging from the upper 70s to lower 80s over the interior along the coast and lower to mid 80s in the Delaware River Valley. On Sunday, tranquil conditions continue. There might be an isolated shower or thunderstorm associated with the sea breeze front, but I'm not really counting on that too much. Look for low temperatures to range from the upper 50s to lower 60s over the northern interior, mid to upper 60s along the coast. High temperatures will range from the lower to mid 80s over the interior and along the coast, mid to upper 80s in the Delaware River Valley. Now on Monday, we get another trough approaching, and that's going to increase the potential for isolated to widely scattered showers and thunderstorms and variable cloud cover. Look for low temperatures to range from the mid to upper 60s over the northern interior, upper 60s to lower 70s along the coast. High temperatures will range from the lower to mid 80s over the interior and along the coast, mid to upper 80s in the Delaware River Valley. On Tuesday, a trough hangs around the region. We'll deal with some scattered showers and thunderstorms. Some of them could be severe, so we'll have to watch that. Look for low temperatures to range from the lower to mid 60s over the northern interior, upper 60s to lower 70s along the coast. High temperatures will range from the lower to mid 80s over the interior, upper 70s to lower 80s along the coast, and mid 80s to possibly even a few lower 90s in the Delaware River Valley. On Wednesday, we get a little bit of a break, still a threat for an isolated shower or thunderstorm, but for the most part, scattered cloud cover is expected. Look for low temperatures to range from the mid to upper 60s. High temperatures will range from the lower to mid 80s over the interior and along the coast, upper 80s to lower 90s in the Delaware River Valley. On Thursday, high pressure will be in control with scattered cloud cover. Pretty quiet out there, but a little bit more humid. Look for low temperatures to range from the mid to upper 60s over the northern interior, upper 60s to lower 70s along the coast. High temperatures will range from the mid to upper 80s over the northern interior, lower to mid 80s along the immediate coast, and upper 80s to lower 90s in the Delaware River Valley. On Friday, another trough approaches with scattered cloud cover and a few isolated showers or thunderstorms possible. Look for low temperatures to range from the upper 60s to lower 70s over the northern interior, lower to mid 70s along the coast, and high temperatures will range from the upper 80s to lower 90s over the northern interior. Mid 80s on Long Island, upper 80s to lower 90s along the rest of the coast, and lower to mid 90s in the Delaware River Valley. And this time period right here is where we're going to have to watch out for our Bermuda high pumping tropical moisture northward and a cold front stalling out. That could set up waves of showers and thunderstorms for next weekend. So we'll keep an eye on that and see what changes with that. That is your forecast for today. Have a wonderful day. And as always, stay safe out there.